As of the week of July 3rd, Kumu joined the ranks of Insight Maker and Causality in terms of being able to automatically identify loops for you in a relationship model. Now, in Kumu, you have to understand in Kumu, the definition of a loop is a little loose in terms of a loop is any one or more connections with a label affixed to it. So in my Kumu template, if you look at that, you'll see that this right here, if I focus on it, these four connections are defined together to be a loop. And that's not something that Kumu is going to recognize because it's looking for real loops in terms of things that actually begin, go through some set of connections and end up back at the same place. So, and loops can be of two types. They can be reinforcing loops or they can be goal-seeking or balancing loops, though, because the user has numerous ways of identifying direct and inverse relationships. At present, Kumu can't tell what kind of loop it is. It can simply tell that it's a loop. So if once you go through and develop a set of relationships and you have all of these loops that are here, though you don't know which ones are which, if you come down here and say add loop, and then you click on detect loops automatically, it will show you the list of loops that are in this model, and it lines them up, the smallest loops first, so that the two connection loops appear first, and then three connections, four connections, and it continues, and it brings it into a view and focus it so you can look at it. Now, because I use colors, blue for direct and red for inverse, it's very easy for me to look at one of these loops and tell whether it's a reinforcing loop or a goal-seeking loop. So once I do this, I can label this and say that this is I'll call it 01R because it's a reinforcing loop, abortion, except EPTABILITY, acceptability. So now what it does is it will go ahead and actually label that and center the label in the center of the loop. Now, the thing that I've mentioned numerous times and probably in the last musing on storytelling is when I build a relationship model, I typically don't know what order that I want to unfold the story in until after I build the model. And more often than not, I go through several iterations of sequencing the loops to figure out how I want to tell the story. And you can tell the story with showcasing or do a presentation, or there are a number of different ways. So I might go through and label these simply based on the fact that this is the second loop. So I would call this 02R unwanted births, okay? And then this one I might call criminals are, and this is a goal-seeking loop, 003B, balancing criminalization of abortion, when I can't spell, of course, criminalization. So I can go through here and I can label these, and it doesn't change the order of them based upon the labels that I assign, it just assigns the labels. So after I've done this and set them all up, I probably am going to come back here and change the sequence on these so that it will unfold it in the order that I want to. The nice thing is that, as I indicated in the last musing, this model that I used repeatedly to demonstrate storytelling, and I reordered the loops numerous times. When I actually went to Kumu, and if you look at this, it has 13 loops in it. And it's the way that I unfold the story here, piece by piece by piece. All right, though when I went and actually looked at the loops, Kumu tells me that I have labeled a bunch of them, but there are also this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. There are all of these loops that I never realized that were there, never labeled them, and never considered including them in the story. And because I didn't know they were there, I didn't know whether or not they were relevant to the story that I was trying to tell. So I am very grateful to Kumu for finally implementing this and surfacing my own ignorance about my models that I build, so that I have a better chance of looking at the relationships that I create and figuring out a better way to tell the story for the models that I build. So it's very straightforward. And, if you create models using pluses and minuses, when you mouse over one of these, you can count the minuses. And if it's 0 or an even number of minus signs, then it's a reinforcing loop. And if it's an odd number of minus signs, it's a goal-seeking or balancing loop. And that's pretty easy to determine. I typically don't like the S and O or the plus and minus notation, which is why I went to red and blue. And for me, it makes it very easy to quickly look at it and determine what kind of loop it is just by counting the number of red ones. So hope you found this of some interest, and hope you find the auto loop identification in Kumu of use. I personally feel that I'm going to find tremendous use of it. So see you in another musing soon. Bye.